In a previous video, I walked through the process of manually deploying a virtual machine with OpenShift Virtualization on IBM LinuxONE using the OpenShift web console. In this video, I'll be building on that in a few different ways. Number one, the virtual machine will run as part of a hybrid cloud application that is made up of both containerized Java applications, along with the virtual machine that I'll deploy and will host a MongoDB database. And secondly, I will deploy this virtual machine with MongoDB running in it from a YAML file using the OpenShift command line interface rather than using the OpenShift web console. This is an example of a virtual machine that I deployed using the OpenShift web console and filling out the form that it provides. But even doing so and deploying a virtual machine that way, it still gets defined as a YAML file. Everything in OpenShift gets defined as a YAML file, and that includes virtual machines. So what you can do is save this YAML file, make any changes that you like, and redeploy from this YAML file, which would be a more automated, standardized, and repeatable way of deploying virtual machines en masse on OpenShift. What I've done is I've saved the YAML file definition for a certain virtual machine that's part of my application, and I've put it on my local workstation, and I have it in this folder that I'm looking at using VS Code. And again, this application is made up of containers, right? So here are my deployments, my OpenShift deployments for my containerized microservices, all 5 of them. And these are going to run this image, which is a Java WebSphere Liberty application. It's also going to deploy some routes, which will be used to access those Java microservices once they're deployed. And I also, most importantly for this video, have a virtualization folder that includes a template for a virtual machine, as well as an actual virtual machine definition. Now, this template is what exists in the OpenShift catalog. So if I go into my catalog and I look at user-defined templates, you'll see I don't have any templates in here because I don't have any deployed right now. But that is what this template is. Once I deploy this, you will see this catalog be populated with a new template that I can use to deploy a RHEL 9 virtual machine that has MongoDB pre-installed. I also have the virtual machine instance, which is the YAML file that defines the actual virtual machine, which will deploy using this template that we just talked about. And this virtual machine YAML also has some cloud init scripting in it, which whenever you deploy this virtual machine for the first time, it'll kick off this cloud init scripting, which does things like subscribe my virtual machine to the Red Hat Subscription Manager to give me access to the repositories. It also creates a repo for MongoDB and then runs this script, this bash script, to actually install MongoDB for me, as well as doing some storage stuff that I've defined in this cloud init scripting. So the first time I deploy this VM with that template, it will come up and it'll automatically install MongoDB for me. And I want to deploy all of these different components together from a single command. So all of these, all the microservices for the deployments for the containers, all of the routes, and all of the virtual machine components, both the template and the VM, I am going to deploy using this handy command. Using the OC command line interface, I'll say OC apply all of the YAML files within this deployments directory, all of the YAML files within this routes directory, and all of the YAML files within the virtualization directory. So once I hit this, all of them will be deployed. All of those YAML files will be deployed onto my OpenShift cluster simultaneously. So hopping back into my OpenShift web console, you can see my RHEL 9 template with MongoDB and that cloud init scripting is now populated in my template catalog. I should also see the application components coming up in my Acmeer project. Here's my virtual machine spinning up, and here are my 5 different microservices, those Java components running in containers, coming up as well. So that command successfully brought up both my containers and my virtual machine. What I want to do is show you the Cloud Init scripting running. So I am going to grab my SSH command for that RHEL 9 virtual machine. I'm going to hop over to a terminal session where I have my private key loaded in this directory. And now I'm SSHing into that virtual machine that I just deployed. So you can see this is just a standard RHEL 9.6 on IBM LinuxONE virtual machine. And if I look at my journal and watch it for a little while, you'll see that I have Cloud Init scripting running. It might have not completely all started yet, but it's going to do my subscription manager configuration as well as starting to install MongoDB. So let's sit around and wait for that to finish. So here's my subscription manager updating. There's my Mongo shell being installed. Now MongoDB Enterprise version 8 is being installed. And it started my MongoDB database server. So I'm going to break out of this, and if all went well, I should be able to connect to my Mongo database with the mongo sh command, and you can see I'm connected to MongoDB version 8.0.12 in my RHEL 9 virtual machine. So I shouldn't have any databases in here yet because there isn't any application traffic running that would trigger the creation of new databases. But if I go back into my topology view in OpenShift, and if I connect to my application, that front end route that I created, you'll see this is a sample flight reservation system. And I can configure the environment by loading the database. So from my containerized application, I'm going to trigger MongoDB load of some data for the customers, flights, and if I start to use the application, the bookings for my flight reservations will also populate MongoDB. So let's load this database. And this will prove that we have connectivity between our Java containers and my MongoDB virtual machine. So if I do show DBs again, you'll see I have my Acme Air customer DB and my Acme Air flight DB with some data loaded into them. That's it for this demo. I hope you understand OpenShift's capability to deploy and manage both containers and virtual machines on a single platform on IBM LinuxONE with a common set of tooling. And also that you're able to deploy hybrid applications from YAML files in a repeatable and predictable manner. Thank you for watching.